Hi folks, welcome to the latest Outside Xbox video. We'll get to the list in just a minute. The others have the script and they seem to be running a bit late, so I'll just wait here and hopefully they'll be here any minute. 7 things, eh? Yep. Great. Any minute now. Where are the others? I've been waiting here like 20 minutes. Oh, what, new studio? Since when?
Video game developers are smart people. After all, they developed a video game, which to me, a simple idiot, is a feat as impossible and impressive as building an alive cat out of drum and bass music. So given that a lot of game developers are a lot smarter than we are, it makes sense that these developers know exactly what we're going to do, often before we do. This is never more obvious than when we're playing a game, think we're being clever and try something completely out of pocket, only to discover that not only did the developers expect us to do it, they planned a specific outcome just for this incredibly unlikely set of circumstances. Join us then for 7 times game developers knew you were going to do that and planned accordingly. Enjoy and beware spoilers ahead for the following games. Oh, there we go, a scrolling list of the games that will appear in this feature. I knew that was going to happen. Kind of like a game developer in that way, I can sort of predict how people are going to respond to things. I'm sort of not...
I'm clever like that.
Yeah, not quite precognition, I guess, just a sort of innate understanding of human nature. I would guess probably 0.1.
A few days back, there was a scene. Our friend Philomene, she's a sapper, set off a blast and ran off. We set a spot for hiding if someone found trouble. I'll mark your map. If Philomene made it, you'll find her there. She'll have the stuff to blow that tunnel wide open and get Beldron and the rest out.
Boulders Gate 3 is a game that is so good at anticipating what you're going to do and coming up with a smart and appropriate outcome that I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the development team had been watching me secretly through my webcam and reprogramming the game in real time. But of course, they're not doing that. This is, after all, a game in which you get a special extra boon if you take all your clothes off before being whipped by a pain priest while everyone watches.
Well, whatever you're into.
That was not what I expected to see today.
Awkward. And which has all sorts of unique dialogue for when you kill your friends and then bring them back to life.
You are on some very thin ice, darling.
Awkward. Our favourite example of Boulders Gate 3 rolling with the player's punches, however, comes when your party confronts Philomene, a deep gnome who is in possession of a barrel of an incredibly potent explosive called rune powder, and who is threatening to blow it and herself to Kingdom Come if you get any closer.
Hold it! I swear to Iron Hand. One more step and I blow us to chunks!
What follows is a tense standoff in which you have to use all your persuasive powers to talk Philomene down before she atomizes herself and gets gnome all over your best robes.
Daredel Iron Hand, hear me now! Set me free!
Or at least that's what follows if you forget that Boulders Gate 3 is an incredibly open RPG that allows you to switch characters at any point, including mid-conversation. So while this is going on, you can switch to another character, sneakily move around behind Philomene, and just steal the barrel without her noticing so that it isn't there anymore. And amazingly, this both works and is acknowledged by the game as Philomene realises that her position is somewhat less commanding when she doesn't have a big barrel of super gunpowder next to her anymore.
Wait, what in the hells? Bugger it all. You moved them.
And that is how you win all 5 major Game of the Year awards. Take note, games that don't let you steal barrels of gunpowder while no one is looking.
Go on, drag me to Moonrise. I'll make you cult nutters suffer.
Part of the new wave of retro-styled shooters with the quality of life improvements of modern games, Ultra Kill is what you'd get if Quake and Serious Sam had a baby and they let Devil May Cry babysit when they wanted to go to the theatre or have a weekend away, just the two of them. And that's why Quake and Serious Sam's marriage is stronger than ever. I'll be honest, this metaphor has gotten away from me a little. While Ultra Kill is fast-paced and violent and includes a mechanic where you heal by dousing yourself in other people's blood, it is also smart in a way you wouldn't expect from a game that looks like it was made in a Texas garage in 1997. As such, the game has thought about things that you're likely to do and made sure that it has a response for them. For example, Ultra Kill includes a mechanic where you can flip coins in front of you and then hit them with bullets for a ricochet shot that will automatically target enemy weaknesses. This is a useful skill, but maybe not front of mind for most players during a regular playthrough. However, at the end of the level Waves of the Starless Sea, you encounter a boss known as the Ferryman, who is a tough customer armed with a boat oar who you need to defeat in order to open a door so you can progress the game. If you're thinking about this game in a sensible way, however, you might be asking yourself, what would happen if I just tossed a coin to the ferryman? You know, paid the toll like a normal person? Oh, he opens the door and you've skipped the entire boss fight. That's right, the developers knew you would try that and so made tossing a coin to your ferryman a viable strategy for this part of the game. I've heard it also works on witches, although I wouldn't want to be the first to try it, let me tell you.
Hey, Jensen, are you close? Things are getting, complicated over here. I could really use your help.
I'll be there when I can, Kohler.
Deus Ex Mankind Divided's Adam Jensen has a bunch of impressive cybernetic augmentations, ranging from the ability to fire bombs out of his spine to social enhancers that make him much more persuasive. I mean, I don't know what's more persuasive than threatening to fire bombs out of your spine, but you do you, Adam.
It's been a rough day, especially here, I can see that. But maybe I can help. What happened?
One thing his augmentations definitely don't let Adam do, however, is see the future. That's why it is vanishingly unlikely that Adam would walk into the medical clinic of Veklev Koller, be asked to retrieve something called a neuroplasticity calibrator from one of Koller's rivals, and then announce that actually he has one of those impossibly rare items in his possession already.
It would involve getting something from Otar, a neuroplasticity calibrator.
Of course, if you've played Mankind Divided before, or you're following a walkthrough, then you are in a much different position to Adam, as you can go and pick up the neuroplasticity calibrator as soon as it becomes available. But rather than carry on as normal, the game treats this with the level of surprise befitting Adam somehow having a unique piece of experimental high-end medical technology that it hadn't even asked him for in his pocket, with Koller selling it like your head just popped off and started scurrying around the room.
Any chance this is what a neuroplasticity calibrator looks like?
That's the one! How did you do that?
And the game acknowledges your sneakiness and gives you an achievement called Time Traveller because of it. Alright, Deus Ex, if you are so smart, you tell me what I'm gonna do next.
Is it fire bombs out of your spine?
Lucky guess.
There's always spirited debate about who the hardest boss is in a Soulsborne game. In Dark Souls 2, for example, some people consider Ilana the Squalid Queen to be the toughest. I myself have particular trouble with the very first boss, the Last Giant. And will presumably have a much easier time with everyone else if I ever get past him. General consensus, however, is that the tip-top #1 hardest bastard in all of Dark Souls 2 is this charming fellow, a boss known as the Fum Knight, who features in the Crown of the Old Iron King DLC. The Fum Knight is armed with both a sword and a ridiculous enormous sword, which looks like he made it by melting about 40 swords into a big puddle, then stuck a handle on it when it had cooled. The Fum Knight is tough at first, for sure, but it's his second phase that is the real nightmare. Get old FK down to around half health and he'll suddenly set his massive sword on fire with dark flames, start two-handing it, and deal much more damage, as you'd expect from being hit with a metal surfboard pulsing with dark energy. Well, back to Candy Crush for me. As is typical with Dark Souls bosses, we don't know much about the Fum Knight's backstory. According to the in-game lore, all we have is that he came to the Broom Tower after his defeat by another knight named Velstad, who coincidentally was another boss we happened to have defeated in the main game. After you defeat Velstad, you can buy his helmet from Morlin the Armourer, and you might be thinking it'd be a fun idea to pop Velstad's helmet on for your future fight with the Fum Knight, maybe to mess with him a little, as a reminder of his greatest defeat. Unfortunately for you, Dark Souls 2 both anticipated this and also isn't really about fun ideas. And if you do turn up for your fight with the Fum Knight wearing Velstad's helm, Fumi K goes absolutely ballistic and instantly triggers his second phase, making the already hardest fight in the game about twice as hard. Honestly, Dark Souls bosses have zero sense of humour. Guess I'd better go remove that whoopee cushion from Myth of the Baneful Queen's throne, just to be safe.
Oh, wow.
I warned you, short one. Now you face a foe more terrible even than I. The only other foe whom I have ever faced who bested me.
Hold, fiend! You'll walk not one more step toward the light of day, so long as I am here.
In the excellent roguelike dungeon crawler Hades, you play as Zagreus, son of the god of the underworld, who wants to escape hell so that he can visit his mum. Unfortunately for Zagreus, Hades is populated with bosses, most of whom are rock hard, some of whom are literal gods, and all of whom want to stop you getting out of the underworld, because I guess if you do it, everyone will start wanting out, and that's really going to have an effect on the real estate prices.
My, but you're as determined as my foster brothers were when my sisters and I stood with them against the Titans way back when.
One such boss is dead hero Theseus, of Minotaur fame. It's a 2-on-1 fight because Theseus has teamed up with Asterius, the Minotaur, his former rival, but now close friend.
2 against 1. Seems hardly fair. Ah well. Let's kill him and be done, King.
Close friend is in inverted commas here. Am I right, shippers? Anyway, anyone not up on ancient Greece probably didn't think too much of the Hades item known as the Yarn of Ariadne, which ensures that the next boon you find has upgraded rarity. However, those who do know their ancient Greek mythology will know that Ariadne is the half-sister of the Minotaur, and she's the one who led Theseus through the labyrinth using that very same yarn in order for him to kill her half-brother. That certainly sounds like the sort of thing that could drive a wedge between Theseus and his boyfriend, but it's extremely unlikely that any player would A, identify this opportunity, B, luck into the item being available in their playthrough as it is only stocked randomly, and then C, hold on to it until the fight with Theseus as it gets used up as soon as you pick up a new boon. Given how unlikely all of that is, the developers of Hades probably didn't bother working in an acknowledgement of that specific set of conditions, right? Wrong! And that's because Hades rules. That's right, walk into Theseus' boss chamber brandishing the Yarn of Ariadne and Theseus will lose his berating you for your underhanded tactics.
Have you no shred of dignity at all, monster? Or would you stoop to any desperate means to draw me out?
And he tells you to shut up and that Ariadne meant nothing to him, he swears.
Maybe you should seek this Ariadne in my father's realm and make amends.
Maybe you should shut up! That Ariadne's dead to me.
And that's not even the only cutscene you get in this scenario. There's at least one more.
Why, look, Asterius. It seems the fiend has brought some sort of nondescript yarn ball. Not seen the likes of it. Indeed, it holds no sway on me at all.
So, to the one Hades player with the Advanced Classics degree and the astonishing RNG luck who discovered this, I hope you enjoyed your cutscenes.
Snake, run!
Metal Gear games break the fourth wall like it owes them money, from multiple appearances by Hideo Kojima himself.
What took you so long?
To Snake shouting out the heroes of Splinter Cell and Siphon Filter in a codec conversation.
Why don't you make Sam or Gabe do the job?
Probably the most famous example of fourth wall breaking from a Metal Gear game, however, is the fight against Psycho Mantis in Metal Gear Solid. This fight sees the Psychic Mantis read your memory card and then throw shade at you for the worrying amount of Suikoden you play.
Oh, you like Suikoden?
As well as reading your controller inputs and predicting your moves. And famously, the way to beat Mantis is to unplug your controller from the first port and plug it into the second port, thus severing Mantis's psychic connection.
So,
you used the other I wasn't able to read the future.
Because he can only read the thoughts of Controller Port 1. Look, I'm not saying it makes sense. Anyway, years later in Metal Gear Solid 4, you come up against an extremely similar boss called Screaming Mantis, the psychological warfare specialist of the Beauty and the Beast unit.
It has been a long time, Snake.
Now, if you played Metal Gear Solid, you might be thinking to yourself, aha! I know exactly what I'll do in this situation. I'll simply plug my controller into port 2. Then you realise that the PS3 doesn't have controller ports. Oh, but Metal Gear Solid 4 already thought of this. Pressing the PS button and switching your controller over to controller 2 is definitely not going to work. It tells you literally to your face.
Snake, try using the same tactic again. Plug the controller into controller port 2.
It's not gonna work, Roy.
Huh?
Do you see any controller ports here? Deceiving Mantis is going to take more than simply pushing the PS button to switch controller numbers.
Can't help but feel I'm being set up. Anyway, persist in switching your controller over to controller 2, despite it now being very clear that Metal Gear Solid 4 knows exactly what you're planning, and you'll find that suddenly you can't move. Because of course you can't, there is now no controller assigned as controller 1. And to make things worse, you then have to sit through an embarrassing codec conversation with Otacon, where he goes on at length about what a stupid idea this was.
Otacon, what's going on? I can't move.
You can't move? What the heck did you... Oh, Snake. Did you set the controller number to something other than 1? Let me guess. You thought back to your battle with Psycho Mantis and figured the same tactic would actually work again, right?
Well,
Nice try, Snake. But this time the controller number has to be 1, or else you can't control your actions.
What the hell? Whose dumb idea was that?
I mean, the boss's plan was to destroy me psychologically, so... mission accomplished, I guess.
The sovereign of this land ill comprehends the urgency of the danger it faces. This eve's empty pomp is ample proof. All gaiety, without a hint of real concern.
In video games, death isn't usually the end. For you. For your enemies, on the other hand. Dunzo. In Capcom's fan-favourite RPG, Dragon's Dogma, that's thanks to Wake Stones, a special ensorcelled stone that can resurrect your character, the Arisen, or any of their allies when they die. And that's pretty much all they're used for, except at one specific point in the game where you are a spectator for a duel between the characters Julian and Mercedes.
You will retract those words, sir!
Else suffer what consequence?
Else I shall wash my honor clean in your blood!
If you simply stand by and do nothing, Julian will eventually win the duel and wander off. However, you can choose to intervene and attack Julian yourself, and if you deal enough damage, he will die, with some choice words for you and Mercedes that will probably have you feeling quite guilty.
You owe the Arisen a debt of thanks, woman. Your she-goat's pride is lost, but you've kept your head.
Full of remorse, you might be thinking to yourself, why didn't the developers of Dragon's Dogma add the option to let me resurrect Julian with a Wake Stone? To which the answer is, they did actually do that. Surprise, Julian.
I know it well. Still,
I am bested,
I could not.
slain by your hand, and brought back as well.
Turns out being killed and then being yanked back into the world of the living has quite a sobering effect on someone, and as a result, Julian has calmed the F down for once.
I shall return to the capital and place myself at the mercy of the court.
Well, this changes everything. What happens when you die, Julian? What word have you from the other side?
They will have my confession and my head, should they wish it. And you shall have the glory, sir.
Oh, he's just going to turn himself in and go to jail for his various crimes. I guess the afterlife must be really bad.
The killing blow will be delivered elsewhere. Pay heed, sir.
Thank you so much for watching this video about times that developers knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to finish this video because you're the kind of person who just loves good videos. And because of that, you might want to check out some more of them, which is just such a fantastic coincidence because I've got these two right here. I carry them with me everywhere, they're very precious to me. But I took them out of my pocket now and I put them here on the screen, and I'm just gonna look the other way, and if someone were to click on them, I wouldn't even see it, wouldn't be able to stop them. They could just do that, and no one would have to know. They could just click away, watch a good video.